What's going on, gamers? We got an interview here on CNBC with Xbox or Microsoft, whatever you want to say. It says Xbox is losing the console race by miles. Yeah, we know that. It's part of Microsoft's big gaming pivot. I don't understand this. What do you mean it's part of Microsoft's big gaming pivot? So this is a weird title because it's saying that they're losing it by miles because it's part of Microsoft's big gaming pivot. What? That's weird. All right, so let's read this, and then we got the whole article that we're going to be getting to here in a second. All right, so it says article is basically a recap for people, investors that may not have paid attention to what's been going on over the past few years. And guys, trust me, there's something very important in this article that is ridiculous that you need to know about. You're going to see what I mean. We're going to be like, no way. I'm like, yeah. Touches on Xbox layoffs, multi-platform, price increases, strategy shifts, Sony, Valve, etc. Not much is new if you are all familiar with the news since 2023. Oh, there is something new here, though. We're talking about the price margin. However, there are just two tidbits CNBC mentions that are new and noteworthy. Yeah. Trust me. It says, okay, so on next gen being an open console plus PC plus cloud platform. So what will Microsoft's next gen console look like? Little is known about where the company is at in its development. I would not say, obviously, it's 2026. Remember, we already talked about this before. 2027, late at the earliest, but I think 2028 would be more plausible. If you want a good deal on price parts, definitely with AI data centers getting the majority, open AI as well, which I might do a video on that one because I found out some stuff that's kind of just ridiculous how much they're hogging. So it says a source familiar with Xbox strategy told CNBC that the company is looking at creating an open system that enables players to jump between console, PC, and cloud gaming and any form of entertainment beyond gaming. Microsoft telling CNBC the 30% profit margin reported as being incorrect. Guys, this is where things get crazy. Get ready. Because I'm like, well, hold on. What do you mean the 30%? You guys read this. Look. You guys read this. Microsoft, let me zoom in for you guys. Telling CNBC the 30% profit margin reported as being incorrect. What in the world? Guys, how does that end up happening? I'm trying to figure that out. How does, dude, I don't know, man. Let's keep reading here though. Let me get this out the way real quick. Okay. The company reported asking its gaming division in 2023 to target profit margins of 30%, according to Bloomberg. When cited people familiar with the matter, the goal was a significant jump from a 12% profit margin Xbox reached in 2022. Yeah, we all see that, right? 12%. As revealed in court documents, as well above the average video game industry standard of 17% to 22%, analysts told Bloomberg. Think about this, video game industry standard of 17% to 22%, but they're at 12%. Microsoft told CNBC that while the company does set ambitious goals, the reported 30% profit margin target was incorrect. But it's going to get more interesting because we have to read everything in this article. It says, for additional context, what Jason Schreier wrote on the 30% margins earlier. Over the past 2 years, executives at the Seattle-based software giant have set an across the board goal of 30% accountability margins, a term Microsoft uses in lieu of profit margins, or however the hell you say that. Wait, hold on. Oh, okay, never mind. I get that saying. Okay, so what they're using in profit margins, according to people familiar with the business, not every project is expected to hit the 30% profit threshold. I don't see how that's even reasonable. But what that does is that makes people probably be the most ambitious they could ever be and crunch them down, said the people. But many Xbox developers and groups have been presented with a new target. So that is pretty interesting because, I mean, we're talking about a major difference here. Even if it's 22%, that's an 8% profit margin difference. And when you think about where the Xbox brand is at, you ain't at the top of the food chain dominating the whole industry like everything releasing is a Call of Duty game. And all your games are selling 10, 15 million like Nintendo and stuff like that. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, if you were doing that and third party on multiple platforms and Game Pass, had like 60, 70 million, and Xbox is competing with PlayStation in sales, you know what I mean? It looks more reasonable. But I don't think people understand how ridiculous a 30% profit margin is. It's ridiculously tough to do. It says right here, Microsoft, 30% profit margin reported is wrong. It's actually 35%. Wait, what? We're gonna have to get to this article. Man, it's really gonna be interesting to see how much these PC-like consoles are gonna cost. Considering what's going on right now, after this gen, I have zero trust in Microsoft and Xbox when it comes to anything hardware related and how they're gonna push it. I don't blame you. But to be fair, on paper, it sounds like something that could be amazing, but also very expensive. I was trying to tell people this. This thing's gonna be like $1,500 to $2,000 range. Do not think about anything else. We'll get back to these comments in a second. Let's get over to this article. Okay, so right here, it says Microsoft, Xbox has had a tumultuous year. A slew of layoffs, price hikes, and studio closures have led many to declare, not for the first time, that the Xbox is dead. That's crazy that CNBC is saying this. But once again, I mean, that's kind of like a realistic outlook. Laura Fryer, former executive producer at Microsoft Game Studios, said in June that the company seems to have no desire or literally can't ship hardware anymore. Former Microsoft executive and EX Blizzard president Mike Ibarra slammed Xbox's confusion strategy in a now deleted X post in October, saying the company is potentially heading for a death by 1,000 needles. The company's overall gaming revenue decreased 2% year on year, with a 29% dip in hardware sales after not doing so well last year. So that's a further decrease, which was not good. According to Microsoft's first quarter earnings for fiscal 2026, the broader console industry has been in a major slump, with hardware spending down 27% year on year in November, which is typically a busy shopping month, according to a recent report from research firm Circana. As we know, Matt Piscatella is leading that, and he's been doing it for a very long time. He's very professional, like that guy. It was the worst November in 2 decades, IGN reported, citing Circana data. Combining Switch and Switch 2 unit sales were down during 10%, but that's not that big of a drop during this month because they already exploded in the other ones. And PlayStation 5 sales were down 40%, even though Sony did those deals. So that should tell you they had to do that, and the Switch 2 had to be there to help. IGN said, but the Xbox had a dramatic 70%. See, the 70% on them is absolutely embarrassing, considering the fact that you already have been taken down so damn much. And we saw the numbers. It was very bad. But we're not going to stay on that. In console sales, Xbox can barely see the leaders this year. Yeah. Nintendo Switch 2 had sold 10.36 million since the debut in June, the company said in its latest earnings report, but it's been a few months since then. Sony had 9.2 million in 2025, and it had 5 years ahead of it. That's why I was telling people Nintendo had passed them up. So Sony made grounds in November by doing that. But when you see the total sales, you're going to realize, yeah, they're both actually doing very well still and healthy, but it is Microsoft's fall off that is significant. Microsoft's Xbox Series and Series X at 1.7 million couldn't outsell the original Nintendo Switch, which launched in 2017 and has 3.4 million units so far this year. Yeah, that's crazy. Data from Game Sales Tracking, VG, estimate. Microsoft declined to comment on Xbox sales or numbers because that company is pathetic and they don't want to tell you the truth. If somebody doesn't want to tell you the truth, what does that say a lot about you? They just want to lie to you and hide things from you. That's not good. Microsoft declined to comment on Xbox sales numbers, as we saw. The company stopped reporting console units shipments in 2015 as the gap between Xbox and PlayStation widened. You see, that is why. See, when you're not winning, you start hiding things and you start being a coward. I always remember that, because it's like, if you're doing so well, then you have nothing to hide. There's no reason to be hiding in the shadows. There's no reason to be shady. You know what I mean? So that is a sign of losing, and it's never a good sign. There's winners out in the open shining. You know what I mean? The Series S, X, and PlayStation 5 all originally released in 2020, with some updates being released since then. In November, Valve made a splash with its next generation Steam machine, which is set to launch next year. I wish that the best, but good lord, 2026 looks like hell when it comes to hardware and just ridiculous greed and manipulation. It ain't just that, man. It's also manipulation with the AI stuff. I'm not falling for all of that. The reveal of its console PC hybrid generated buzz across the gaming landscape, though Google Gemini looks like it's doing good, with The Verge declaring that Valve just built the Xbox that Microsoft is dreaming of. The Mini Cube will be able to run PC games through Valve's own Linux-based Steam OS. As a television console or a gaming computer, gamers will still have access to Steam's extensive library of thousands of games. So we see that, don't we? Yeah, I mean, look, guys, I got some things to tell you. I think the Steam machine will be fine because they're not trying to come like a console saying they're competing with consoles. They're just going to do exactly what they're going to do. At least Valve is intelligent in that manner. So we're not in the business of out-consoling Sony or out-consoling Nintendo. There isn't really a great solution or win for us, Microsoft Gaming CEO Phil Spencer said in a 2023 podcast. He did, and then he was just like, we lost the most important thing. Once you lose that digital carryover, it's over. We lost the most important thing. I respect Phil Spencer for coming out and basically just admitting that. Because at that point, it's very true. He's just facing the music. Because you have to think about this. That's what I was trying to tell people. When they had these Wii U nonsense and this Nintendo Switch 2 grift. Oh, the Switch 2 is going to be in a Wii U situation. I'm like, what are you talking about? You're the type that falls for that cultist nonsense online and gets caught up in that negative grift. Now I realized that they had 150-something million install base that's ready to carry over. And outside of that, everybody was waiting on the Switch 2 because they wanted that upgrade. They were getting tired of the specs of the Switch 1. So automatic conversion carryover is automatic victory. It's a bigger carryover than the PS4, which was at 117 million. They're almost 40 million ahead. You know what I mean? When we talk about install base. So it's like, what are you talking about? Like, you know what I mean? Like anybody that doesn't understand that, it just literally unveils their character and how they feel deep down against Nintendo. Because it's like, it's pretty obvious. Just saying. If you're going to be that unintelligent, I don't know what else to say. So that's just not understanding the way that the market works. In congratulating Valve on the release, the Xbox boss gave a nod to the movement to expanding gaming access across PC, console, and handheld devices. As Sony and Nintendo have firmly established themselves as hardware companies, Microsoft is pushing towards Bill Gates' original vision of an all-encompassing entertainment hub in the living room. Ultimately, the addressable market is anyone who wants to play games, and Microsoft wants to serve the market. That's what Michael Pachter was saying, but it's like they want to push that from a Western society, American standpoint, because they need some type of identity and entertainment against the Japanese companies. You know, I understand that, but kind of getting destroyed and need to do better and be more pro-consumer. That's your problem. You're too greedy. It's kind of funny. People think about the console and PC as two different things. Nutella said, we built a console because we wanted to build a better PC, which could then perform for gaming. So I kind of want to revisit some of that conventional wisdom. We're talking about a guy that wants to do full AI, so I can't take what he says serious when it comes to gaming. I don't think he should have anything to do with it. Xbox President Sarah Bond echoed the idea. I mean, I love Satya's mind. He's a brilliant guy, but I think there's definitely some villainy going on in the AI world and what he wants for that. And the hand behind him that probably nobody sees. So I'm not trying to beat down anything he does, but I think that you can't learn the gaming industry that fast, and I think he realizes that. And plus, I mean, the whole of Microsoft is not gaming anyways. It's a small portion, and I know he sees that. Then we got Sarah Bond echoed the idea, saying in a recent interview with Mashable that the company's next generation console will have some of the thinking seen in the Xbox's new handhelds, which were built by hardware manufacturer Asus. Look, if you're being told that, then it just gives you the idea about the OEM aspect. In partnership with Microsoft, meaning not an official console, but a PC-like console, just like the Steam machine. And she's just doing what they tell her to say. She's not really a gamer either. I don't know if she's going to stay around. We'll see, though. Launched in October, those devices support cross-platforming gaming and can run PC games bought from Epic Games, CD Projekt, and Valve stores. Xbox has already incorporated that approach into the latest Backbone Pro, which rolled out in November. Designed in partnership with Backbone Labs, the portable gaming controller offers access to cloud gaming on mobile PC, smart TV, and other streaming devices. This is trying to expand as much as possible because your ecosystem can't do it on its own like a PlayStation and Nintendo ecosystem. So you have to do that to try to get as much maximum profit as possible. This is the idea of Satya. Anyways, we need all this expansion so that we can get stuff for our AI data centers and to keep you sustainable enough. But you get what I mean. They're just looking to get as much maximum expansion as possible. They're not playing that other game anymore, and they can't, and it doesn't make any sense. Okay, it's definitely with Game Pass. So what will Microsoft's next gen console look like? Little is known about where the company is at in its development. A source familiar with Xbox's strategy told CNBC that the company is looking at creating an open system that enables players to jump between console, PC, and cloud gaming and any form of entertainment beyond gaming. And you're just a PC. Gaming in the cloud, we know about this, where Spencer said that he was not concerned with focusing on console sales as much as making games accessible. I mean, you kind of say that if you're not exploding, you know what I mean? I do think as we look at the next decade of gaming, as we think about reaching over 2 billion people on the planet who play games, many of those people won't be buying consoles and gaming PCs. Spencer said, Xbox Game Pass subscription service, which gives subscribers access to games from a variety of publishers, is a clear example of this strategy. Yeah, but you're not getting Netflix numbers. You have to. Microsoft has been steadily expanding its title offerings on the service. The platform's basic tier, as we know, that went up. So yeah, that's not good. The growth in cloud gaming has been blistering. Xbox reported a record 34 million Game Pass subscribers in 2024 and total Game Pass revenue of almost 5 billion. Yeah, but that all got shut down, and we all know that it's not there anymore. Definitely with the price hike, they've had a tank down in the 20-something million, maybe the mid. Xbox said in November blog post that the number of cloud gaming hours for Game Pass subscribers was up 45%. Then you got spending 45% more time in the cloud gaming, but it was very low though. So all this stuff is just like blah, blah, blah. We already know about none of this. Going down, gaming studio bonanza. Microsoft has spent the past few years building out its entertainment hub with a catalog of original games through the acquisition of Blizzard. And then you got the Bethesda ZeniMax. We know about that. We know about that. Cuts and price jumps. They laid off 1,900 workers, around 9%. Wait till you see the layoffs coming next year, guys. There's going to be another round that is going to be massive in 2026. Definitely with the way things are getting more expensive. It's just inevitable. We have to know about this. We don't need to read all this because we know what this is about. I want to get to the meat of this with you guys because we know about all that other stuff. In January, and slashed around another 650 jobs in September. In May, the company also shut down several studios under game publisher Bethesda, Redfall, which we knew what was going to happen. Then we have more layoffs and more cancels with Perfect Dark and Everwild. We've seen this before. And then Microsoft telling CNBC that while the company does set ambitious goals, the reported 30% profit margin was incorrect. Microsoft has raised prices of its aging line up of flagship consoles twice over the past year. Nintendo and Sony also announced price hikes for their respective consoles in August. So the interesting thing is saying that 30% profit margin is incorrect. And then in 2022, as revealed in court documents, the average above video game industry standard of 17% to 22%. So their goal was a significant jump from the 12% profit margin reached in 2022. But as far as the 30%, they're saying it's incorrect. So what is the actual number? We need that. That's where things get interesting. And then we see the price increases here, and then things with the ROG Ally. This is stuff we already know. But we wanted to read some of the earlier stuff to get some inside intel on this interview. And we got our answers here. So yeah, the 30% profit margin of True will be extremely hard to reach probably by the end of Xbox as we know it. Microsoft really killing Xbox slowly. Yeah, it's just putting more pressure on Xbox, which is unreasonable. Because you can't guarantee that type of success. You have to literally be dominating everything and dominating publishing and staying first place and dominating every month, winning NPDs, selling 10 millions with all your IPs, like, and then everybody buying all your microtransactions. Like, that type of future, it's unreasonable. Let me know what you guys think about this. The most interesting thing about this is them saying that 30% is incorrect. So leave a comment. Let me know what you guys think. If you have an answer on what the answer is, if you have some inside intel, let me know. I don't know about this guy saying it's actually 35%. I take that with a grain of salt because who is he? I didn't see anything about that in that article. As we scrolled down and looked, it's just not there. You know what I mean? There's nothing about 30 to 35%, and we've read it. So later, y'all. Yeah, this is interesting.